6 Eastern after PTI with Sage and Kevin. Stephen A., you'll be giving a preview. That's what I hear. True story?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Plus Tigers opening round at the Memorial and the question surrounding Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr. Yup, he's not a New York Football Giant anymore. Sports Center after PTI on ESPN and the app.
Welcome to your Sports Center right now. Phil Murphy here with you. The NBA Finals start tonight, and the Warriors in Game 1s under Steve Kerr are 18-1. For that one, they didn't have Kevin Durant. They were actually playing against him, 2016 Western Conference Finals. It was KD's last series with the Thunder. They won't have Durant tonight either. Steph Curry, how do you overcome that in Toronto?
We're going to have to play smart. Myself, stay out of foul trouble. Draymond continue to do what he's doing in terms of dominating both sides of the floor. And just play with confidence and play fast, play loose. And as Coach say, play discipline. So, we know what we're capable of, and when he does come back, we'll be able to transition and hopefully elevate our game even more.
I've been a Drake fan since, I was in high school. He's a great artist. Do I like him as a Raptor fan? No, but I like him as a musician. He's extremely talented, but I will definitely skip the song if I don't like it. And if it's one of his soft, R&B songs, I'm gonna skip it because I'm in kill mode right now. Trying to get these 4 games.
That's it for your Sports Center right now. Here's more First Take.
Golden State for a 5th consecutive season. They're headed back to the NBA Finals. A historic run for Golden State continues.
5 straight finals, the historic nature of what that is, kind of crazy to think about.
That's what you play for. This is our goal every year.
We know 4 more wins defines your season, so got to stay locked in.
Who isn't a Drake fan, especially here in Toronto? You heard Clay. He's in kill mode. No slow jams right now, everybody. Just game face. We the North already focused out here. And it's still early in the morning. Game 1 tonight inside Scotiabank Arena. Welcome back to First Take. And look who's here. The one and only Brian Winhorst. You look so nice. I like this look.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us.
I'm so happy to be in Toronto for the finals. It's a great city. They're going to get to show everybody how great their fans are. If you don't know what it's like to be at a Raptors playoff game and you haven't watched it, you're going to see tonight. It's going to be a special night here.
Yeah, I cannot wait. All right, let's get right to it. We're doing some picking. Stephen A's taking the Dubs in 6. Max is taking Toronto in 6. Who do you have?
Toronto in 6. Max, you think that they're going to close? They would close them out in the last game in Oracle? That takes guts, man. That takes guts.
I've seen Steph Curry fold in the last game in Oracle against LeBron James and a team that, LeBron was no better then, I think, than Kawhi now. If he was, it was marginally. And I saw Steph Curry in a 73-win team with the greatest half-court offense of all time choke and not score a single point as a unit in the last 4 minutes and 22 seconds of that game. I've seen it before.
Brian, here's the problem with Max's argument. Max doesn't remember that back then he didn't even have facial hair. You understand what I'm saying? That was 4 years ago. You see what I'm saying? It's a long time.
So here's why it's difficult to make a prediction.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is the most challenging defense that the Warriors have faced in their 5-year run. I don't think people give enough credit to how hard it was for the Raptors to get here. The Philly 76ers are a great team. They've got some flaws, but they are great. The Milwaukee Bucks are a great team. Very difficult to defend with the way they play. The Raptors they start 2 different guys who are Defensive Player of the Year, Gasol and Kawhi. They got a whole bunch of guys who've got experience, who've been on all defensive teams. They are big, bad, flexible, long. I think that it's going to be a bit of a culture shock to the Warriors to just what kind of defense they're going to play. And that is why I think, especially without Durant, the Raptors have a shot. But if the Warriors come out tonight and just run their split cuts and blow the Raptors' defense away, then to me, that's what I got to watch. And until I see it, I really honestly don't know how the series is going to go.
My mentality is very, very simple about this. you know, I'm partial to shooters. And when we talk about defenses, it would be one thing if it was just schematically. And you know what? Steve Kerr is running an offense, your split cuts that you talk about, along with other things, pick and rolls. It could be pick and pops. It could be anything. And you're shooting because you're open. All right, I got it. My problem is that I've seen the Golden State Warriors with people draped all over them, just lighting it up.
Raining threes.
Let's be very, very clear that what we're talking about here. Obviously, the Raptors are a huge threat. They are no joke. Defensively, I think they're elite, no question. But I want to make sure people understand that when you're talking about Steph Curry, you are talking about the greatest shooter we have ever seen in the history of basketball. In Klay Thompson, a legitimate argument could be made. This is one of the top 5 shooters in the history of basketball. We don't call them that because they hit open shots. We call them that because when they get on fire, it don't matter who's on them. They launch and it drops. That's what I'm talking about. And when you think about the possibility of that happening, remember, you saw this, Brian. Milwaukee missed a lot of open shots. As great as Toronto's defense is, Milwaukee had a lot of open shots. Golden State ain't missing no shots.
One thing
I'm saying.
I'll take you back to Game 3 of the finals last year in Cleveland. So the last time they started a series with their first, well, they didn't start the series, but their first road game in the finals. Steph went 3 of 16 in that game.
Yeah.
Klay went 4 of 11. They had a game where they both were off. It was in a hostile arena, pressure, all that stuff. Now, they were ahead in the series. They weren't feeling too much pressure, but it was a hostile arena.
Kevin Durant.
They had Kevin Durant to go for 37.
That's right.
Okay? And crush the Cavs' spirits, basically. The thing is, if Steph has a bad game tonight, and I know it feels like Steph hasn't had a bad shooting game in 6 weeks because he kind of hasn't, but if Steph has a bad game, they don't have the safety net anymore. And while I admit Steph could come out tonight and hit 11 threes and they could blow him off the court, it's just as likely that he could go 3 of 16 again, and they don't have that safety net. So that's why, without Durant, without Kawhi having to work as hard on defense because Durant's not on the court, this is their window. Apply the pressure now.
Before Max chimes in, I would ask you to be very careful about your words, Brian Winhorst. It's one thing to sit up there and say it's possible, but you use the words very likely. Just as likely as it is for him to explode is as likely for him to go 3 of 16. It's not as likely for him to go 3 for 16. Not as likely.
True,
I'm just saying. Be careful.
In the first 6 games of the playoffs, Steph shot the ball very poorly.
I understand.
He had a half where he had 0 points, and he had a half where he had 33.
Right.
Which are you getting? That's why I got to watch to find out.
I have yet to see Steph Curry and this goes for a lot of the Warriors' lead scorers, right? Like Steph, and I think the same thing about KD. When they haven't had the overwhelming odds in their favor, I have yet to see big-time clutch performances when the team has needed it most. That's why they lost to Cleveland. They surely would have lost to Cleveland in the first go-round, too, had LeBron's second-best player not been Matthew Dellavedova. Steph, as the leader of a team in an even-odds kind of final series, has yet to prove the thing that you're talking about, Stephen A. Brian, I challenge you. Has Steph Curry been the best version of himself in any finals?
No.
In any finals, he's had moments in games where he's been the best version of himself. But for the whole series, he has not yet. Yeah. But I think he's absolutely capable. And that second half that he had in Houston, where he put up 33, Stephen A. and I were there, was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen out of him. And it may not have been in the finals, but it doesn't mean it's any less impressive.
We've got to leave it there, though. Brian is sticking with us, and let's keep in mind, we have yet to see them without home court, opening on the road for the first time under Steve Kerr, so that'll be a change for the Warriors as well. All right, when we come back here on First Take, ladies and gentlemen of Toronto, Max will explain why it won't be the end of the world if the Raptors lose